Alright, what's up you guys? I'm here with the 2010 WWE Pay-Per-View DVD Collection. Let's move right into it here. First up, we have the Royal Rumble 2010. I always really like this cover. I think it's really cool. You have John Cena up front there, you have Taker, Rey Mysterio. And this is actually a really good Royal Rumble event. You had Undertaker versus Rey Mysterio, which was always kind of a little dream match for me, because I used to be a really big Rey Mysterio fan. And then we have Christian and Ezekiel Jackson. I'm pretty sure that's the last time that the ECW title was on the line at a pay-per-view. You have The Miz and MVP, Sheamus and Randy Orton. Then you have your Rumble match. And then you also have Bret Hart coming back to confront Mr. McMahon. So there's your disc art. You have I Am the One there. Pretty cool. Next up, we have Elimination Chamber 2010. This was the first Elimination Chamber gimmick pay-per-view. You have Batista there. You have the chamber inside of his eye there. Pretty cool. And, this is when Batista became the WWE Champion, leading up to WrestleMania 26. But we have two chamber matches, both for the world titles. I believe we had, let's see. Yeah, Chris Jericho won one, and then John Cena won the other, only to lose the title. And then you also have some special features there. Pretty cool. Some in-ring promos. Then you have Drew McIntyre and Kane. Miz and MVP again. But, nothing much to really show for this pay-per-view. Not really the biggest fan of the disc artwork either. But, there was definitely better Elimination Chamber pay-per-views. Alright, so this is the... Let me just move the pay-per-views over so they don't fall. Okay. This is the collector's edition. I got this from Walmart the day it came out. And you open it up. If I can do it one-handed carefully. Can't even get it. There we go. And so this is really cool. They've never done anything like this, and they haven't done it since. But you have the WrestleMania 26 cover. I always really love the logo for that as well. And then you have like the alternate poster artwork as the inside here. And then the backing. And then the DVD itself. Carefully. I'll just put that there. Alright. And here's the artwork on the inside here. I really like this pay-per-view. It's pretty much the only WrestleMania that I actually enjoyed during the PG era. Except for your Bret Hart and Mr. McMahon. It is what it is. But you also had CM Punk and Rey Mysterio, Sheamus and Triple H, Batista and John Cena. Your very kind of like decent Money in the Bank ladder match. And then you had Edge and Chris Jericho as well. And it's good to see Ted DiBiase going in the Hall of Fame. He's one of my favorite legends. And then there's your beautiful shot of the stadium. So yeah, I like WrestleMania 26. I'm not saying it's the best of all time by any means. I'd say it's average, somewhere in the middle. But it's better than 27 and 29, which we'll get to. Oh, I hate WrestleMania 29. Anyway, Extreme Rules 2010. You have Sheamus on the cover here. At first, I didn't like this cover, but it's starting to grow on me a little bit. I love the Extreme Rules logo. I absolutely love that logo. And, I don't know, I like the color scheme. And I like how the gold overshadows everything else. But you had GTG and Shad in a strap match. You had Triple H and Sheamus in a street fight. Edge and Chris Jericho in the steel cage. Rey Mysterio and CM Punk. I think it's the first time they've ever had, or anyone's ever done, two back-to-back hair matches. That's the only time I've ever seen that. We have an Extreme Rules, Jack Swagger and Randy Orton, after he cashed in there. And then we have John Cena and Batista in a last man standing match. There's your disc artwork. That one's just a little, I don't know. It's awkward. I don't know. I don't like the disc art. Alright, Over the Limit 2010. Kind of a cheap cover here. And this was the first Over the Limit pay-per-view that they did. And this was Batista's last pay-per-view, until he came back, of course. We have R-Truth and Ted DiBiase, Randy Orton and Edge, Rey Mysterio and CM Punk, once again, pretty decent match. And then Jack Swagger and Big Show, and then John Cena and Batista in an I Quit match. There's your disc artwork. Actually, pretty cool disc artwork there. Yeah. And you get The Miz versus Bret Hart, and you get some other little tidbit extras there. Alright, next up we have Fatal 4-Way. The only time they ever did this pay-per-view. I don't hate this pay-per-view. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people consider it a failure. I don't. We had 2 Fatal 4-Way matches there for both world titles. And then you had a very good match with Chris Jericho and Evan Bourne. And then you have another Fatal 4-Way, so 3 for the Divas title. And then you have Miz and R-Truth, tag team titles. Special features the NXT plot. And this is a major... This is probably the worst spoiler cover they've ever done. Let's be honest here. You have all 3 world titles being spoiled. Wow. And then you do have the Nexus logo, though. And I love the Nexus. Alright, next up, Money in the Bank 2010. This year was not good for covers. I think we can all admit that right now. I do not like this cover. I don't mind having action shots, but they could have picked some better action shots, you know? But this is the first Money in the Bank pay-per-view, only months after WrestleMania 26, so there was 3 Money in the Bank ladder matches in 1 year. But you had 2 ladder matches, one by Kane and The Miz. We have Sheamus and John Cena in the steel cage, and then Rey Mysterio and Jack Swagger for the world title. And then, of course, Kane cashed in. Spoiler alert. I mean, this was 7 years ago. Does it matter anymore? But pretty cool disc art, though. Jesus. Alright, moving along. SummerSlam 2010. This is what many people consider to be the worst pay-per-view cover of all time. Let's just take a moment there. Look at that. I understand it, and I appreciate it. They just, again, they could have picked a better action shot. And this is probably, if I had to say, my least favorite SummerSlam of all time. It's either this or 2011. But, yeah. Okay, we have a 3-on-1 handicap match. Big Show and the Straight Edge Society. Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston. Sheamus and Randy Orton. Kane versus Rey Mysterio. Team WWE versus the Nexus. Oh, man. That match, I'm not going to talk about it because I'm just going to start ranting. That is, you know, I'm a John Cena fan. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I respect him. But that's one time where I was like, really? You couldn't put the Nexus over? They could have blown up and had some amazing, amazing stuff, you know? Alright, Night of Champions 2010, another spoiler cover there. This one's actually a better cover, though. I like it, though. I mean, it is spoiler, but I still like it. But we had Big Show and CM Punk. The Miz and Daniel Bryan. We had, let's see, tag team titles, turmoil match. We had a 6-pack for the WWE Championship, and then a no-holds-barred match between Kane and The Undertaker for their little rivalry they had. So there you have the disc art with the titles. Next up, Hell in a Cell 2010. Very nice cover here with The Undertaker. I always really like the Hell in a Cell logo. You know, I don't like the idea of the gimmick pay-per-views, but it is what it is. I still don't. We had John Cena and Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan, John Morrison, and The Miz, Edge and Jack Swagger, and then 2 Hell in a Cell matches, Randy Orton and Sheamus, and then Kane and The Undertaker. Kind of a disappointing show. Ooh, very nice disc art. I like that. A disappointing show because you expect Kane and The Undertaker to put on the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to do that. Alright. This is one of my favorite pay-per-view covers of all time, I'm going to be honest. And I like bragging rights. I know I said that in the 2009 video, but I love bragging rights. They may not have done it right either time, but I like the idea of it. And it was some decent little pay-per-views, you know? They weren't awful. And the match listing makes a little heart, because the teams love each other. Raw and SmackDown love each other. Alright, so we have Goldust and Ted DiBiase. It's good to see Goldust on a pay-per-view. Goldust is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I loved his 90s gimmick. I love even the new stuff they're doing with him. He's bringing back his kind of the old vintage Goldust, you know? But anyway, getting off topic. We have Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. The tag team titles. I did not like what they did with John Cena and the Nexus. I think the Nexus could have stood on their own, honestly. But we also have Randy Orton versus Wade Barrett, and then Kane versus The Undertaker in a Buried Alive match for the world title. And then you have the 7-on-7 elimination match. I love me elimination matches. Beautiful disc art, love it. Alright, next up, Survivor Series 2010. John Cena looks constipated. Is it just me, or does he look constipated? But anyway, decent Survivor Series matches themselves, but other than that, you have Kane and Edge, and then you have tag team titles, US and IC titles, John Morrison and Sheamus, and then you have the WWE title, Randy Orton versus Wade Barrett, with special guest referee John Cena. And John Cena would get fired or whatever, like he always gets fired. He gets fired every year. And there's your artwork. Nothing too special about that event, really. Alright, and then there's this. TLC 2010. Not a bad pay-per-view. I like Rey Mysterio, but this is kind of just cheesy. I know a lot of people don't like this cover. But we had John Cena versus Wade Barrett in a chairs match. Very cool ending to that. And he literally buried him with chairs. And then that was it. So yeah, cool ending. I just don't like the end of the Nexus, though. And then you had the new Nexus and stuff like that, but still. Alright, and then we had John Morrison and Sheamus in a very good ladder match. You have a tables match, Miz and Randy Orton. A triple threat ladder match. And then Kane, Edge, Rey Mysterio, and Del Rio in a fatal 4-way TLC match for the world title. And then there's your artwork. Smackdown vs. Raw 2011, great game. I think that was the last really good WWE game. I loved that. But yeah, there you have the disc art. So that'll about do it. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, I think I have a couple more years to do. So stay tuned. Peace out.